is so stuck that it's stripped.
Your boy's on a budget. So over here we've got the Tusk T45 tire. Hello everybody, and welcome back to the YouTube channel. My name's Grant, and this weekend I'm going to be doing the most budget-friendly YZ250 two-stroke build that I can. So my 2025 YZ250 two-stroke has a lot of hours on it, and a lot of the parts need replaced. So what I've chose to do is I went onto Rocky Mountain's website and I ordered as many parts from Tusk as I possibly could. The whole goal of this build is to see if I can have as much fun riding with all Tusk parts as I have had in the past on premium brands. But before we get to that, I'm here at Harbor Freight. I need some tools, I need a torque wrench, and I need some shop supplies. So we're gonna go in, we're gonna get that taken care of. As you can see, we're getting tons of rain, and we got to clean this bike first. Throw on the rain gear here, go out and clean this bike, get some tools out of the van, and get started. Got the bike sprayed down. That's all I did. I did not scrub it like I usually do. I just sprayed everything down because everything is going to come off of this bike, and we're going to kind of clean up everything by hand as we go along here. As you can see, we're loaded up with a lot of Tusk honing tool. This is the torque wrench I just picked up, along with the crowfoot wrench set that I picked up for these side bolts on the cylinder head. And then we've got Tusk brake pads. We got a Tusk, what do you call this thing? Oh, it's a chain guard. Lately I've been riding with this stock one, and this thing always gets caked up with mud when the track's thick. So we're gonna swap out this part for that Tusk chain protector in case that chain were to break. Tusk chain. We've got the piston kit for the top end, along with new bearing and a whole entire gasket set. We got tubes for the tires. We've got the first line contact cleaner, brake fluid, honing fluid. We also picked up new chain slides, chain slides. And then I also still have on the way is a chain guide for the rear. Then we have some engine ice for when we are draining the radiators for the top end rebuild. Over here we've got the Tusk T45 tire that we're going to be putting on there. And out in my van I have a Tusk front sprocket and a Tusk rear sprocket that we're going to be also putting on here. First thing I'm going to start rolling on is tearing all these plastics off of the body here. I'm hoping for tonight that I can get all the way through getting both tires on. While I'm at that, I'm going to go ahead and do brake pads, sprockets, hopefully get through all of that tonight, and then tomorrow we'll do the engine. That thing wants to tip. Alright, we're going to need to get a strap. Strap that thing down so I do not knock it over. So I do have both of these new tires on. I'm going to go ahead and get these mounted up. I'm also going to get the new sprocket on the rear on there, because I'm going to need that on there to even get this front sprocket off. I didn't realize I need to take that front sprocket off before I took the rear tire off. I'm going to need that tire to hold that sprocket in place to bust the nut off. While I'm dirty tonight, try to finish up all this dirty work. That way tomorrow I can focus solely on just doing the top end rebuild. Anytime I have the wheels off my bike, I like to take these spacers and off and refill up these bearing areas with new grease and wipe off some of the old. That way we're keeping those bearings in there from getting washed out, and so they don't rust and go bad. And I certainly don't get afraid to get messy with this stuff. So I have a theory that I'm running a slight experiment on when it comes to this tire choice. I was in a debate between getting the T34 or the T35 and the T45 Tusk EMX tires. And I decided to go with a T45 for both tires to give them a chance. I certainly think these tires will not be near as good as the Dunlops right out of the box. However, being a harder compact tire, I think they'll be good for longer. So they might not be as good right away as the Dunlops are, or maybe the T35 Tusk tire would have even been. But I'm holding a theory that these tires may last longer, hold some of their compound longer, and be a better tire longer. We'll see if that theory holds up. But based on the knobby pattern on this front tire, I'm trying not to be negative, but I'm thinking I won't like it right away. The rear tire, I think it'll be fine. It's a very wide tire, so I think it's gonna be real good when it gets to the hard pack stuff. It looks like it's got enough space between the knobbies as well to where I think it'll be decent even in the loam. But I think I'm gonna be kind of disappointed with this front tire. Maybe I'll be wrong, but we'll see. Another consideration I thought would be a really good idea was to run the Tusk T35 on the front. That way you get a little bit higher of a knobby for that loamier stuff, and then run the T45 on the rear, because that tire tends to wear out faster anyway. The rear tire on a bike is going to wear out faster typically than the front tire, so you don't really have to worry about the wear as much on a front tire comparative to the rear. So in the future, if I don't like this tire, I'm going to try the T35 on the front and keep the T45 on the rear if I like them at all. It might end up being a wash all around. Alright, let's get this front tire back on here. Might have to... Got those new brake pads in here. Gonna have to make sure I get those spread out. I'm really crossing my fingers that I will like these tires, because they're significantly cheaper than buying like a set of Dunlops, which a set of Dunlops, I mean, just for a rear tire now, you're talking 120-ish bucks, where you can get a whole set of Tusk front and rear tires for $124. Go ahead and get this rear sprocket off. This has got to be one of my least favorite dirt bike jobs, is changing sprockets. Oh. Tires are back on. Certainly, maybe it's got a little more life left, but I'm still going to replace it. And I don't want to get my new chain out and put it on, but in order to get this off, I need to have a chain on here to stop this thing from rotating. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put something here to stop this tire from rotating, and I'll be able to use this chain enough to be able to bust that nut off of there. So I've got the new chain protector on, got the new sprocket on, new sprocket on the rear, fresh tires. Now we gotta get this thing all cleaned up, get this shop cleaned back up, so we're ready to go for tomorrow on doing the top end. Shop is cleaned, organized, ready to go for tomorrow's work. Now it's time for me to head up, get clean. We'll be back tomorrow. Good morning. We're back. And today we're going to do the top end on this motor, get the entire bike cleaned back up, get it put back together. I meant to bring my MacBook down here with me to have a follow along, but we're just going to dive in and send it. So if I get stuck anywhere, I'll go find the computer or pull it up on my phone and see if I can figure it out from there. But first thing we're going to do is drain some coolant. Finally got everything out and apart, so it's time to clean up this entire cylinder head. So I managed a big mistake here. Let's see if you can see this. This screw is so stuck that it's stripped. See, that one's good. This one's stripped. Try to get it out. So I'm going to try to cut some notches in it and then see if I can get it out with a flathead. I'm just going to cut a little bit lower. Ah, yes. Whew. Got it. That was scary. I can't believe how tight those are in there. That's certainly way past the spec. So I've got the engine completely back together. We're going to go ahead, give it a start and a first warm up for the braking procedure. So let's see if it starts. So before I come back, finish all the rest of the maintenance, I'm gonna go relax for a little bit, get everything cleaned up around here, and then we'll get the rest of this maintenance done on this bike, clean it all up, get it all put back together and ready to ride. So it's been 3 straight days of working on this bike. It's taken me a little bit longer than I wanted it to. A lot of family stuff in between my short spurts of sessions of getting this thing done. Nevertheless, it's done and I'm super excited about it. First thing I want to talk about is the engine. So I bought the Tusk top-end rebuild kit for the engine, including the Tusk piston. I was a little bit concerned about that, but I decided to go with it because I wanted to do as much Tusk products on this bike as are needed. Obviously I haven't changed everything. Foot pegs are still stock, whatever. Your boy's on a budget. So I went with everything that was needed instead of doing everything on the bike. And that's the point of this bike. It's supposed to be the sickest budget bike I can make it. So Tusk piston in there. I do have from the past, the V-Force 4X reed valve. I've got the Pro Circuit pipe and silencer, and for my jetting on the carburetor, I believe I just went with the settings that they recommended on Pro Circuit's website, and it's been running super crisp. I run 90 plus ethanol free gas with the Yamaha 2R. Yeah, I believe it's the Yamaha 2R oil premix. And when I pulled that piston out of there, even with a lot of hours on it, it looked really good. So I'm really hoping that this Tusk piston holds up the same way. Right away on startup, I noticed that it had that brand new bike feel. Even on the stand in the garage, getting it on that first start, felt super crispy again. Had that, just as soon as you pull that throttle, it felt snappy again. And so it was really, that's really exciting for me for getting out on the track, because I kind of started to notice a little bit of drop in power. That old piston and rings was just getting worn out. So really looking forward to getting out there, trying that out and giving that piston a real test. That kit was super easy. It came with everything you needed, and for $102 for everything, I don't think you can beat it. Moving on to tires. So I gave a little bit of my theory earlier in the video about the tires. I went with the Tusk T45 tire, and I don't think these tires are going to be near as good as the Dunlops right out of the box, and I don't expect them to either. But I am hoping that this tire, and based on reviews that I've read, will last longer than the Dunlop and stay good for longer. I'm a little concerned about the front tire, being that these center knobs seem very short comparative to the AT82 Dunlop I was running. So I'm thinking in the loamy mornings here in Ohio that won't hook up near as good in the front, but it's looking like it's got a very nice setup for that hard pack stuff that we get later in the day. So as long as this tire is giving me what I'm looking for, I'm probably gonna keep running it in the future. And I'm even thinking about running the T35 on the front and sticking with the T45 on the rear. For the rear tire, this thing has great spacing still, even for being a hard pack tire. These side knobbies though are certainly quite large, and they look like they're gonna give you a lot of contact surface. So I'm looking forward to that, especially when it gets dry and hard packed on these hot summer days coming up. This tire should be really good in that, and I think it'll still hold up good in the loam because it does have good spacing comparative to other hard pack tires that I've seen in the past. For the chains and sprockets, I went with Tusk everything to keep that budget down, and I went with the new Aero Steel rear. I've always ran the aluminum Tusk sprockets in the past, and they were pretty good. I ran those on 4-stroke bikes, and even with that torque of the 4-stroke, they held up pretty good. The chains, I love the price on the Tusk chains. They get a little bit stretched out in the beginning, but then they tend to hold from there. My one complaint about the Tusk chains is they come with a lot of grease on them out of the box. And when it has all that grease on there, it tends to fling some of that grease up onto your bike those first couple rides before it kind of wears off. And it kind of gets a little bit messy, and it's a little messy to put on. That's my only complaint about it. However, the chains seem to be really good. And I also went with the Tusk front sprocket, and I just went with the stock gearing as well. But those Tusk fronts, I've ran the same one on the past, and it's always held up well. And then I went with the Tusk chain guard. In case that chain were to break, it's going to stop it from smacking into the engine case. This setup looks way cleaner with the black on black, with the gold, and getting rid of that big cage that was on the front sprocket before from the stock. Looks super sick, super excited about that. And I know these chains and sprockets are going to be good because I've ran them in the past, and I'm very excited to run them on the two-stroke. The only concern I might have on the two-stroke is if this chain being a little bit thicker than the Sunstar one that came with it, I'm hoping that doesn't hold back any of that low-end torque. Overall, I've been stoked on this bike, and it's been a great bike to own, especially when it comes to the wallet. For everything on this, including when I take it to get serviced on the suspension to my suspension tech, I can do a top-end rebuild, chain sprockets, tires, and suspension serviced for under $1,000. And I think that that is incredible comparative to the four-stroke stuff I've had in the past that gets way more expensive. It's really cool. It's a really great bike. There's a reason so many people love this platform to build off of. And I'm trying to take it one step further on the budget and run all the Tusk stuff. I've been happy with all the stuff in the past, and I'm really looking forward to getting this bike on the track, giving it more tests, and giving more reviews on some of these products. Thank you so much for watching the video. I'm really looking forward to getting out there, and I hope you guys are having fun this summer riding dirt bikes as well.